been wondering for a long time, why do people make a fuss over birthdays? I mean, everybody has a birthday. It doesn't require any talent to get born. And why do you give somebody a present? You should be giving them a condolence card. Anybody can be born. That doesn't require talent. We should celebrate important things. The first time a guy discovers girls, you should give that guy a present. He deserves it. That's an important moment. But a birthday, I mean, you have birthdays, you have them. Cockroaches have birthdays, mosquitoes have birthdays. That's no big deal. It just means you're closer to the end. Now, the next time someone has a birthday, I want you to put your arm around them and say, "I'm sorry."
Here I am, John Cimino, getting ready to see Stan Lee. I'm in front of the Sheraton right now. Geeks coming in too, you know. Only 100 are allowed into this event. What I wanted to say is I got the camera ready to go. The big quest is I got the most valuable piece of Marvel memorabilia ever right here. If you can see it, the 1963 Ben Cooper Spider-Man costume. I want to get Stan Baby to sign this bad boy. Whether he signs it today or not, I don't know, but I want to get his attention. So, I met Stan Lee a few times in the past. Never this intimately. Only 100 people supposed to show. Hopefully, not everyone will show so I can get a better chance at the king. And I'm gonna try to record it. Hopefully it's good, because I'm scared shitless, man. I'm gonna shit myself, because I'm full of Marvel Marching Society madness. See you in a bit. It's gonna be started very soon. Behind me is a restaurant of my exploitation to get to Stan Lee. God, there's a lot of weirdos here, and I figure I'm the weirdest one. Why not? But he's coming soon, and details to follow. We're entering the dinner with Stan Lee. I'm sitting here with some fine fans. Could you say your name, please?
Hi, my name's Sharon.
Ryan.
Jack.
Jeff.
Tom.
And what are we here for today? Do we know?
Stan Lee.
Stan Lee. And what time is it? Can anyone say that?
It is 7:25.
Yeah, 7:25.
And Stan should be coming in any minute, huh? Can anybody tell us really quickly before the man comes in why you're such a big fan of Stan?
I've always liked like X-Men and things like that, but Ryan here has been a member of the Marvel Role Playing Club for
23 years.
23 years.
Yeah, so.
Was that the TSR club?
Yeah, we're based out of Western Mass in Northampton, and without, obviously, characters like Wolverine and Hulk, our club would never have gotten created, so I thank Stan for that, and a big part of my youth growing up.
Well, I've been a comic fan my whole life. The earliest thing I remember reading was a comic book, so, you know, it's an opportunity to come out and, you know, pretty much be able to say thank you to Stan. Everything that he's contributed to the industry.
And his last one, and you, sir.
And he stole pretty much exactly what I was going to say. My mother actually used to sit me on the couch and try to teach me how to read with Iron Man comic books back in 1973-74, and so these heroes have been my heroes growing up.
And a little shout out to you. We both shop at Outer Limits, right?
That's right. Outer Limits in Waltham.
Yeah, well.
Go see Steve.
You want to say that? Some of my fans will probably throw a location. They'll probably come looking for me. All right.
But
so
I just want to really say thank you to Stan.
Oh, absolutely. So we're going to all say thank you to Stan when Stan comes in here. Just check out other fans and all this. Waiting for the master to come in. Anyone think Jack Kirby's going to show up?
In spirit.
In spirit. Oh, what about Steve Ditko?
You never know.
Yeah, we can only hope.
Thank you. Yeah. Nice meeting you.
Stan, my name's Jack Butterworth. I used to be John Butterworth. I used to be a student at Colgate University. I discovered Spider-Man in 1963 because of a panel that you wrote that had Spider-Man trying to cash a check in a bank and being refused because he didn't have a Social Security card or driver's license of Spider-Man, which is classic to me, just wonderful. And I fell in love with it. I wrote an article for my college newspaper, the Colgate Maroon. So thanks to you, I went on to a career as a newspaper reporter and a writer. And I want to thank you for that. My question is, and it's not specifically about you, but I wonder if you've
it's
seen
not about me.
the movie. It's slightly about you. It's about the field of comics. I really felt a certain amount of pride as a comic book fan seeing Argo recently, and in the credits that follow the movie, Jack Kirby is acknowledged because he did the drawings that they used for the storyboards for the movie to get those people out of Iran. Which is an incredible thing. You know, it really is. I think it reflects so well on this field that we all love. I wondered if you have seen the movie, if you had any particular feelings about it.
Which movie is this?
Argo.
It's Argo. It's the Ben Affleck movie about the six Americans.
I haven't seen it.
The six Americans that got rescued from the Canadian government, and they used,
I heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
They used Jack Kirby's artwork.
Well, it's about time somebody used Kirby's artwork.
Yeah!
God knows I used it.
Yeah. Well,
I gotta tell you, that was the longest question I ever heard. Now it's time to go, but it was great being here.
It's all downhill from here, I'm sure.
I was just wondering what your favorite cameo was in the movies.
Oh, I loved them all. I loved the one in Spider-Man where I was the librarian marking the books while the fight was going on. I liked the one, of course, in Iron Man where I was Hugh Hefner. I can tell you a funny thing about that. I'm standing there with my arms around three sexy girls, which is not an unpleasant way to find yourself. And I was supposed to look like Hefner, so they put a pipe in my mouth, because he always smokes a pipe, or did. At one point, Robert Downey walks past me and says something like, "Hi, Hef," and I'm supposed to turn around and look at him. So he walked by and he said, "Hi, Hef," and I turned around and looked at him, and I had the pipe in my mouth, and I almost knocked out all the teeth of the girl. They were standing so close to me. When I turned, the pipe hit the girl in the face. So the director, who is no slouch, said to me, "Stan, I think we'll remove the pipe." And that's why I had no pipe in my mouth. And I know you're all wondering why.
Yes, sir.
What was it like to work with Steve Ditko?
What was
it like to work with Steve Ditko?
Great. Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby were the two greatest guys to work with. They never showed any temperament. They were always on time with their work. Nothing was a problem. No matter how difficult the plot might be that I gave them to do, they went home, they did it, they brought it in, always on time. They never did one job where I'd say, "Gee, that art isn't so good, you know, I'd like you to change this." They always did the best they could with every job. They were just a joy to work with. And that was it.
Yes, John.
Yeah, Stan, what is the greatest Marvel slugfest you ever wrote?
The greatest Marvel what?
Slugfest you ever wrote.
Slugfest?
Because you and Jack Kirby took it to a...
I can't remember. I mean, every story had a slugfest. Wait. The one that I liked the best, and I don't think it was the greatest, because it wasn't that violent, I don't think. There was a story I did, it was a Daredevil story, and he fought Submariner.
Number 7.
Now, they were both heroes, so I couldn't have one win and one lose. The fans of the loser would have hated it. And I think I wrote it in such a way that, I don't know if any of you saw it, but it was very dramatic. When Submariner finally left and went into the ocean, he had great respect for Daredevil and Daredevil's courage. And Daredevil had great respect for Submariner. I kind of like that. I thought it was
Amen.
a good battle.
Yeah. Amen.
One of my favorite characters of yours is Ant-Man.
Ant-Man?
Ant-Man, but it seems he's never gotten the respect of the other characters, and I'm just wondering, why do you think he never caught on as your other
I'm going to
characters?
tell you what was wrong with Ant-Man. Partly Kirby's fault.
Ooh.
I don't know if anybody else drew. I can't remember Ant-Man, but he was this small, and it should have been interesting to see him against things that are bigger, you know, somebody's shoe is about to step on him. But somehow the way he was drawn in the stories, he didn't look that small. When they drew him, whoever drew him, he looked like a normal guy. They didn't put enough things next to him that made you appreciate how small he was. You know, in a panel, if he was saying, if he was trying to run away, there would just be a picture of him running. There should have been a picture of him running past a spool of thread or a pencil or something small, so you get the feeling he's small. But when you looked at the artwork, you didn't feel it was about a small man. And that's what I meant when I said that the artwork really, it's unfortunate. But they are working on an Ant-Man movie. And believe me, they'll have him up against things that are much bigger. You'll know how small he is.
Yes, sir.
Can you comment on your appearance in The Big Bang Theory?
Oh, I heard you. We're sitting right next. Would I comment on my appearance in The Big Bang Theory? An appearance that shook up all of Hollywood. I never had more fun. Those people were so nice and such fun to work with. A funny thing about it, though, as you may know, if you've seen The Big Bang Theory that I was in, I play a guy who's very annoyed when whatever his name is, the star of the movie, and his girlfriend come to my door to speak to me. And I say, you know, what do you want or something? And then I say, Joni, call the police, because it looks like they're trying to get in. So I received so much fan mail from readers saying, we thought you were a nicer guy. Don't you care for your fan? They got all indignant. And so I better watch out what roles I take from now on. I don't want to turn off all the fans.
Well, what was your favorite comic book of all time?
What was your favorite comic book of all time? That you wrote or read?
Either way.
Either way, I have to disappoint you with the answer. I'm not big in favorites. I mean, there are so many things I like, but you want an answer, and I don't want to disappoint you. One story that I was very fond of, which didn't become as famous as it should have, there was a Silver Surfer story that was illustrated by this great French artist, Mobius, and it was called Parable, I think. And I thought it was just a notch above the normal stories that we had done. It sold well, but the world didn't get excited about it, and it's the world's loss. I can do nothing about that. A Parable, that's my answer.
John over here, he wants me to ask you something.
Go ahead. Wait, this is good for all the Thor and Hulk fans that are...
Right. Notwithstanding the recent events, the Avengers movie and cartoons.
Go for it, Dana. Go.
When you created the Mighty Thor, you wanted him to be kind of bigger and better than the heroes that came before. I recall in Origins of Marvel Comics, your introduction, you wrote that you were a fan of mythology, and even as a youngster you loved mythology, and Norse mythology was so much more appealing to you. Because it had that kind of that doom hanging over everything, and the gods were written, they knew that they were going to die someday. It was more dramatic, which you loved. So when you wrote the Mighty Thor, was it your plan to have him be stronger than the Hulk, or as strong as the Hulk? How's that,
Is that
John?
the question?
Yeah.
It took you that long to say that?
He's long-winded, Stan. He's long-winded.
My usual answer is it depends on who's writing the story.
Yeah.
All right. That's the answer.
I never really thought of it in those terms. I mean, when I thought of Thor, I wasn't thinking, gee, I wonder if he's stronger than the Hulk, or could he beat Galactus if it came to a fight? Because people are always asking me. All I knew was I wanted him to be the god of thunder. He's the most powerful god, except for Odin, who was usually taking a nap. I came up with the name the Odin Sleep. He's about to take the great Odin Sleep. Yeah, corny. And, no, I never thought of that. I don't know who the hell would win if Thor was somebody else.
Yeah!
As I say, it depends on the writer. It depends on who you want.
That's great.
These characters are not real.
Wait a minute. Yes, Stan Lee, there is a hope.
Well, maybe somewhere. I'd love to meet him.
Yes, Virginia.
Yeah. There is a Santa Claus.
Mr. Lee, first I want to say thank you for your contributions to the industry that we all love.
Yeah.
I actually have two questions. My first one deals with the movies.
Is he allowed to ask two questions? I don't want to violate any important rules.
My first one is about the movies. Do you get any kind of say as far as what your cameo in the movie is going to be?
What, Mike? No.
They pretty much...
They call me and they say, be here at thus and such an hour to do your cameo. I have no idea what I'm going to do. One little funny thing about it, at least it's funny to me, I came to one cameo one day, and I'm wearing a pair of jeans and a shirt, I don't know. And I walk in, they say, you have to go to wardrobe. So I go to wardrobe, and the girl there says, I want you to put on these jeans and this shirt. I said, that's what I'm wearing now. And I want you to wear these sneakers. Look, I'm wearing sneakers. No, it has to be our jeans and our shirt and our sneakers. I always thought that was kind of funny. But aside from that, I absolutely do not know what I'm going to do until they let me know. And sometimes they change it while I'm there. And the director will decide, nah, I don't like that so much, let's try this Stan. And we try this, which of course comes out magnificently because I'm such a good cameo actor.
My other question...
I'm sorry, a second part of the question.
My other question was, when you were creating Spider-Man and the Hulk and the Fantastic Four, did you have a lot of input in their actual appearance?
Into the actual what?
In their actual costumes, their appearance?
The visual.
It's hard to answer. I was the art director at the time, so I told the artist what to draw. But as far as the design of the costumes, I always left that to the artist. Like Steve Ditko designed the Spider-Man costume. I didn't tell him how to do it. He just did it and I loved it. Kirby designed just about all, Thor and all the things he did. He designed them. The one time he thought I was crazy. Well, there were probably a lot of times he thought I was crazy. But one time, I said, Jack, I have an idea for a character called the Hulk. I said, I want him to be a monster, but I want him to be a sympathetic monster. I want him to be he's a good guy. He's the hero, but he's a Hulk. And Jack almost walked out. But he came back and he said, all right, I'll try. And then that was the way the Hulk started. But I'll remember that. I didn't think he thought it was a good idea when I pitched it to him.
Thank you, sir.
Stan, you're known for creating very famous comic characters. Are there any characters that you wish you created that are either in Marvel or not in Marvel?
I heard that. Now, why did I hear him? Anyway, are there any characters I wish I had created?
Yes.
Not really. Bob Kane was a friend of mine. I don't want to take Batman away from him. I knew Jerry Siegel. Let him have let the memory of Superman rest with Siegel and Schuster. There's one character that DC has that I get a kick out of, Lobo, because to me he's not a typical DC character. He should be a Marvel character, but we didn't think of him. But I don't even have time to read the competition. As a matter of fact, I don't have time to read our own books. I haven't read a comic book in quite a while because I keep too busy going to meetings like this that pay me very little. But for some reason I do it.
We'll be right back after these important messages. Hulk vs. Thor, Captain Marvel vs. Superman, top 10 capes of all time. These are just a small portion of articles you can find on the Hero Envy blog. You will not find a better source for superhero information anywhere else on the web. So forget Wikipedia and log on to hero-envy.blogspot.com and join the blog adventures now. Excelsior! Now back to Stan Lee's birthday bash.
Mr. Lee, when I was about 7, my next door neighbor asked me, "Do you like comic books?" And I said, "Yeah." So he goes, "Well, my son isn't interested in comic books, so here." He handed me Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 50. My mother, when she got home from work that night, said, "You're not supposed to be taking things from strangers. Go give them back to him." Could you please look at this camera and yell at my mother?
I gotta tell you, so many people have told me that they could have the greatest collection, but their mother made them throw it out. I'm even dumber. My mother didn't care. I could have had all the comics I wanted. I was too stupid to save them. In fact, none of us saved them. In those days, we had an office that was the size, we had the smallest office you could ever imagine. We were crowded in there. And there was no room to put anything. And all the comics that didn't sell, the distributor would send back to us. So one day we'd get a stack of books like 10 stacks, that size. We had no place for them. Guys would come up to deliver sandwiches from the drugstore below. "Hey kid, on your way out, take these books." And the same with the artwork. The printer sent us back the original artwork. "Hey fella, take this artwork, will you? We have no room for it." And all that stuff was, none of us had any idea that one day we would be so celebrated and our work would be so valuable. In fact, I think I'm far too good to be talking to these ordinary
Right there, yes?
Stan, what do you think of the casting overall in the movies?
What do I think of the casting?
The casting, yeah. Some of them is spot on, I think.
Well, if you're referring to the Spider-Man movie, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, all across, like, you know, Robert Downey as Tony Stark and
for the most part, I think that, I mean, how can you fault casting like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man?
Right.
Or the fellow who plays, I forget their names, the guy who plays Thor is great.
Yes.
And I was very surprised they took the fellow who was the Human Torch and they made him Captain America. But he did a great job. They're all nice guys and they'll kill me for not remembering. No, I think the casting has been great, the movies were great, and because the movies are so great, that's what's making the comics and the superheroes so popular. The movies have done so much. All of a sudden, because of the movies, I've become a celebrity. So I love the movies.
Mr. Lee, can you tell us a little something about Martin Goodman, like your relationship?
Yeah.
I've heard many things, good and bad, about him.
All true.
Was he really a hobo?
What?
Was he really a hobo before he got into...
I didn't know him if he was a hobo. I knew him. He married a cousin of mine. So that was our close relationship. He was the husband of a cousin whom I rarely saw. And he had this publishing company. And one day somebody told me that there was a job open at that company. So I ran over, and that's when I started working for Simon & Kirby. As far as he was concerned, he was a very smart, lazy man. He was smart enough to build up a company that had comic books, and he also published movie books, confession books, men's magazines. He even had magazines that were like Playboy, but they were 100 times cheap. They didn't have the class of Playboy. They were just nothing.
Ooh, that's a good thing.
But he knew the magazine business inside and out. He didn't really know story. He was lousy at story, but the one thing he was good at were covers. In those days, a magazine sold by the cover. There were very few fans. Like today, somebody will walk into a comic book store knowing he wants to buy the latest issue of something. In those days, there weren't comic book stores. You bought the magazines off a rack in a drugstore or somewhere. So the most important thing was to have a cover that would catch the reader's eye, because people would buy the magazine according to whether the cover attracted them. And Martin knew what a good cover was. He knew how it should be. He may not have been able to do it himself, but when I'd show him 2 covers, he immediately knew this is the better one, Stan, because it's got that red and the this and the that. So he taught me a lot about covers. He was also incredibly lazy. He had the company going, and he'd spend most of his time lying on the couch or playing Scrabble with his business manager, and he only spent a few hours a day discussing and the comics were not the biggest part of his business. He was more interested in the men's magazines and the movie magazine and so forth. And one day he sold the company to somebody else, and he retired, and that was it. He was a nice guy, but I resented the fact that he didn't work harder at the company, because when we started getting fan mail, after we did the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, I knew we were onto something. And I used to say to him, let's take ads, let's publicize this, let's promote it, oh Stan, come on, just write the stories. You go back and play Scrabble. He didn't really care. So that was my beef with him. But other than that, he was a great guy. I knew him for years and worked with him, and he knew covers.
Do you think he would have been proud of you?
What? No, he was jealous of me.
Yeah, I heard that.
No, he was, because I started trying to promote the magazines myself, and I started doing interviews and being on radio shows, and I was getting all the publicity, and after a while people thought, in those days we called it Marvel, but before that it was Atlas Comics, but people thought Marvel Comics was me, and I know that Martin resented it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing I could do about it.
Good job.
Yes,
You didn't expect to hear about that, did you?
All right, let's take a question right there.
All right. In follow-up to John's question about Martin, was there a point in your career where it stopped being just a job that you were going to do and you really started to see it as the career that you wanted for your life?
No. It was always a job. It had to be a job. I was not one of the owners of the company. I was a salaried employee. I loved the fact that we were doing well, but I always resented the fact that we didn't have a company like Warner Brothers behind us that could really give us the money and the support. I felt Marvel, see, it happened finally, but when we were doing this in the 60s, the superheroes, I felt we should be as big as Disney. I felt with those superheroes, because I knew how people liked them. I used to read the fan mail, and I knew how the books sold. I felt we should have a group of businessmen running the company who'd want to grow it and make it compete with Disney. But we didn't. We had a guy who slept on the couch and played.
Stan, whatever happened with you and Ringo?
Me and who?
Ringo Starr.
Oh, Ringo Starr. I met him. We were going to do something. An animated cartoon. He wanted to be a superhero. I said, Ringo, you're a sweet guy. You ain't no superhero. But we were going to come up with something funny. The best thing that came out of it was I took a photo with him where I'm playing the drums and he's reading Spider-Man. It's kind of a cute photo. But beyond that, we had about 4 or 5 meetings, and I think I had a lot of ideas. He didn't like them. He had a lot of ideas that were horrible, and we never ended up doing it. We're good friends, but we still haven't done anything. But you never know. We may still come up with something we both like, and months from now or years from now, you'll say, gee, I remember Stan talking about that once. And you'll feel very dramatic, and life will be meaningful at that moment.
Did you ever try your hand at poetry or prose or screenplays?
I tried it at poetry. I love poetry. In fact, I wrote a poem called God Woke, which you'll be able to find on the internet if you Google it. And I've written a lot of other poems I won't bore you with. I love Edgar Allan. Everybody says you like Edgar Allan Poe. What do you think of The Telltale Heart? I said, no, it's his poems I like. Yeah, I like poetry. What was the question?
Oh no, just what other writing you've tried?
No, I haven't tried anything else.
It's just some poetry.
I never tried to write a novel because I don't have the patience. The one thing I loved about comic book writing, I could write a story in a day, and by 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night, I was finished. It was over, because I really hate to write. And a novel, you'd have to write a little bit and put it aside and go back to it the next day and worry about it. And I don't have the temperament for that. The same with the screenplay. I had been asked to write it. I did a screenplay once. There was a famous French director that none of you will know named Alain Resnais. And he came to America to meet me because he was a fan of Spider-Man. And he wanted us to do a screenplay together. I wrote training films in the Army, but that was not the same as a screenplay that he'd wanted. So anyway, we worked on it together, and I wrote it as best I could, and he loved it. And then we brought it to a producer, a guy named Martin Ransohoff, a company called Filmways. This was about 1 million years ago. And the producer said, I like this story, I want to use it, but Stan, you've got to cut the dialogue. Because I didn't know at that time, the less dialogue you have in a movie, the better. Because these are moving pictures. The people want to see the pictures move. There should only be enough dialogue to keep things going. I wrote pages of dialogue and speeches. So he said, there's too much dialogue, you got to cut it. And my nutty friend, Alain Resnais, the director, who was very set in his ways, he said, no, Stan will not cut a word of it. So that screenplay is still laying on a shelf somewhere. We were paid for it, but he never produced it, and that's the only time I really wrote something different than comics.
My question to you is, of all the Spider-Man villains that you've created, which one is probably your favorite? Mine's Mysterio. I'm a big fan of Mysterio.
Mysterio? I'd forgotten about him. He was pretty mysterious.
So your favorite Spidey villain?
I think I like Doc Ock because I liked his name. Nobody called a villain something like Doc Ock. See, I tried to give everybody nicknames. You know, like Thor was Goldilocks, and Iron Man was, one of them was Hornhead, I forget. I don't know, they had funny names. Daredevil was Hornhead. And Doc Ock, I just like the idea that his name was Dr. Octopus. And you see, DC Comics never called Batman Batty or Superman Soupy. So I enjoyed that. I forgot what the question was.
Oh no, your favorite Spider-Man villain? If you have one.
I liked them all. The Green Goblin was good. One I liked too was Sandman. I don't know why in the movies they made him so big. I would have liked it if he was just a normal size, but the thing is, if you tried to shoot him, the bullet goes through him because he's made out of sand. But when he wants to hit you, he can make his hand rock hard. And if he wants to escape, he can turn sand and go under the door, even if it's locked. I got a kick out of him. The Green Goblin I liked because he was a businessman and his son was involved and there was family there and human emotions. I liked the Lizard better the way I wrote him than the movie, because the way I wrote him, he was really a good guy. And even when he became the Lizard, he wasn't that as bad as he was in the movie, and Peter, Spider-Man, when he fought him, never wanted to hurt him or kill him because he knew he's basically a good man. See, in the movie, I think they made him too evil, even as the scientist. He became like Mr. Hyde in Jekyll and Hyde. I like the idea that he was really a good guy who couldn't help turning into the Lizard, and he had a wife and a kid, and he wanted to find a way to stop being the Lizard, but they didn't do that. Maybe they'll do it in the next movie, I don't know. I'm rambling. The question was the villains. I loved them all.
Thank you.
Yes.
What is your favorite Marvel movie?
What is your favorite of the Marvel movies?
Oh, wow. I got to be honest, I love most of them. I think maybe the first Iron Man, I got a really big kick out of that. I thought it was just perfect. There was nothing I could find to change or that I would want to change or alter. But I loved them all. I loved the X-Men, the first X-Men movie, the second one too. I certainly loved the Spider-Man movie. Oh, when you asked about my favorite cameos, that made me think. I like the one in Spider-Man where we're in Times Square and I walk up to him and I say, forgot what I said.
One person can.
One person. Right. You're right. You have a good memory. One person can make a difference. And then I left, and then the director. What's his name again?
Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi. I'm pretending I don't know. And Sam Raimi said, "Stan, come back. Say 'nuff said" after that. I couldn't believe it. So I said, "One person can make a difference." And then I said, "'Nuff said." I got a kick out of that.
Did you like the organic webbing on Spider-Man?
Did I what?
Did you like the organic webbing and how they made it part of his body? No,
That's an interesting thing, at least to me. Before the Spider-Man movie was done by Sam Raimi, Jim Cameron thought he would do Spider-Man. And that excited me because I'm a big fan of Cameron's, as I am about Raimi. And Cameron even did a big poster that he sent me of Spider-Man climbing on a wall, and he said, "I'm going to use this for the newspaper ads." And he wrote a 50-page treatment, not a screenplay, but a treatment just of what the story would be when he wrote the screenplay. And in the treatment, Spider-Man's webbing was organic. He didn't have the web shooter. And I thought, gee, he changed that. Wow. But I didn't say anything. Anyway, he never did the movie for some reason. Then when Sam Raimi did the movie, he decided to make it organic also. Now, these are two of the most talented directors in Hollywood, filmmakers. And if they felt it should be organic, I guess they were right. And certainly we know how successful the movies were. But I kind of like the idea of him having something in the war and he press it. And the reason I liked that was because I could always get him in trouble where he needs it the most and he's run out of web fluid. And what does he do? But in the movies, he's always got the webbing, so it makes it easier for the writer. But I would have been more intrigued if it was still not organic. But I know I'm wrong, because if two of the best filmmakers in Hollywood wanted it organic, I'm not going to argue with them. How's that for getting you off the hook?
That's right.
All right.
But they've gone back to the web shooters in the new movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, honestly, it's true.
So Stan, you were right.
So how do they justify that with the future?
It's not,
They rebooted the...
It's a restart, yeah.
When they restarted the Spider-Man.
Why do you know more about it than I
They restarted it, they introduced the web shooters.
In the next movie?
In the new...
The one that came out this
year. The one that you did as the librarian. They introduced...
I didn't see that, dude.
Yeah,
you mean in the movie that's out they did it?
Yeah. Come on, Stan.
I saw the movie, I don't remember. I was too busy, I guess, looking for my scenes. I got to see the movie again. Yes, sir.
Yes, Stan, I have to show you something here.
No, you don't have to. You want to.
I absolutely want to.
All right.
What I have here is something even Roy Thomas said to me he didn't know existed. I've been in correspondence with
Something
this.
Roy Thomas sent you?
Yeah, he didn't know. What is right here?
He didn't know what, didn't he know?
He didn't know. This is what you see right here is the very first Marvel licensed product ever done. It's the 1963 Ben Cooper Spider-Man costume. There are only 3 of them in existence. Look at this.
I'm helping you.
Yes, he is. But I would just want to know, did you know that came out? I mean, that's a Martin Goodman thing.
What? Didn't tell me anything. I was in a little room writing the stories. Nobody told me what was going on in the real world.
But what is so interesting about that is Spider-Man was on issue number 5 when that came out, so nobody even really knew who Spider-Man was.
Gee, this is really amazing. It's a Spider-Man costume?
Absolutely.
When Spider-Man number 5 was out?
When number 5. Stan Lee, it's not even a Spider-Man costume. It's a Stan Lee costume.
It's me?
It's all you.
Well, bless your heart.
Yeah. I just wanted to show you that, and I'll have him sign it tomorrow. But
I'll sign it now, do you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I might miss you tomorrow.
Oh, I know. Thank you very much, Stan. Right there.
Right there. Oh, he knows where he wants it.
Unbelievable. This is a piece of Marvel history right here. We got Stan Lee signing the very first Marvel. Thank you very much, Stan. Thank you, comics. Thank you.
He's got to be in showbiz.
It's for Kirby, too. And Steve Ditko. Maybe he'll come back.
He wasn't bad either.
We're going to step into Dr. Doom's time machine and go about a month and a few days into the future to December 22nd, I believe.
Yeah!
28th? Oh, sorry, December 28th.
Come on.
And we're going to sing
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Yes.
Happy birthday, dear Stan. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. Wow, that is so nice. Yeah. Take the picture. My wife will say, you didn't eat that cake before dinner, did you? Wow.
All right.
Oh, that is lovely. And what's that picture?
It's a picture of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah,
let me take a picture of that. Oh, wow. And I kept saying to you, do I really have to go to this thing?
All right.
Okay.
Make a wish.
Yes, Stan, make a wish for maybe another 20 years.
That's a good wish. Me and my wife and daughter. Okay. And all of you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Yeah, I can tell you. I just told you.
Stan,
you're welcome.
Stan, the young man has something, a little card for you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow, oh, that's very nice.
Thank you.
Stan, you want to blow out your candles before...
What if I can't?
There we go.
My one talent. I'm a big candle blower. Thank you. Does this mean we're finished?
A sulky, over-bulky, kinda hulky superhero. A two-fisted and electrically transistored superhero. An exotically erotic and aquatic superhero. The Marvel superheroes have arrived. Superpowered from the forehead to the toes. Watch them change their very shape before your nose. See arcane striking superhero change to Viking superhero. A humdinging, real slinging, shield flinging superhero. They're the latest, they're the greatest, ultimatest superheroes. The Marvel superheroes have arrived.
The Hero Envy trade paperback is finally here. Collecting all 3 issues of the miniseries and bursting with extra bonus stories and features. If you're sick of the big 2, do yourself a favor and pick up the Hero Envy trade or individual issues. Full color and filled with comic book goodness. Remember, before the Big Bang, there was Hero Envy. Available on HeroEnvy.com